Welcome back, everybody, to the Mystical Rebel channel. And we are back. We are back. We are back. You're back. And this is going to be a great video because in this video, like most of the videos we do here on this channel, we are going to be reacting to some conspiracy nonsense, some occult conspiracy nonsense, right? And this time it's coming from Hidden America. Amuraka. America. Hidden America, thrice greatest. This is someone who I followed for a while on X, but I've never really watched any of their videos. But when I saw that he posted this video on X and I saw the title, I was like, all right, I not only have to watch this, but I'm going to have to debunk this, right? The minute I saw the title, The Ritual Sacrifice of Charlie Kirk, unveiling the Masonic script, I knew this was going to be absolute asininity and that it was going to need to be debunked, right? Because people are going to fall for the unsubstantiated nonsense that we're going to go through in this video, right? People are going to fall for it. 17,000 people already saw this video in 4 days. Now, out of those 17,000, let's just assume 500 of them went to go tell a friend. And maybe that friend didn't watch the video themselves, but they heard about it. Maybe they looked up some information, blah, 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 and their belief. So now that's 500 more people who believe this nonsense. And then out of that 500, 100 of them go tell someone else, and so on and so forth. This thing spreads, right? So we have to debunk it. We have to debunk nonsense like this. And that's exactly what we're going to do in this video. We're going to debunk Hidden America's The Thrice Greatest, The Ritual Sacrifice of Charlie Kirk. And it's so funny that after the fact, they always know it's a ritual, it's Masonic, his name, in gematria adds up to this. But they didn't know any of this stuff before it happened. Like, that's what I don't understand. Gematria doesn't suddenly change. Well, first of all, gematria is not supposed to be used for this, like using names to calculate, oh, this was a high holy day that he died on and it was a satanic sacrifice. That's not the purpose of gematria. Gematria is simply to find metaphysical relations between numbers and letters, right? From like some sort of a Kabbalistic, Judaic, esoteric sort of background. Has nothing to do with figuring out death dates and satanic high holy days and all this other nonsense that I hear all these conspiracy channels talking about. Gematria doesn't change just because someone is dead, right? Their name would add up to whatever it adds up to, going by the conspiracy gematria logic. Their name would add up to whatever it was supposed to add up to, whether they're alive or dead. So why can no one ever come up with this stuff before the person passes? It's always an after. It's always a reaction. None of these people have any knowledge to make them proactive, right? And we're going to see the same thing in another video that I'm going to be reacting to. Once I'm done reacting to this video, hopefully I'll be able to do it before I have to leave. I have to leave. It's 10:48 in the morning. I have to leave around 3. And you guys know with my commentary, this video is only 15 minutes. This is a 14-minute and 28-second video. But my video, the video that you're watching right now, is probably going to be close to an hour because of my commentary. So hopefully I'll be able to, get both these videos done before I have to leave today, and go out and start, doing real life things. But I have another video that I'm going to be debunking from Elizabeth April, and even her. In that video, she claims to have remote viewed the Charlie Kirk situation. After the fact. Why couldn't your Galactic Federation and your Arcturian Defense Council and, whatever, the supreme rulership of the fifth dimension, why could none of them tell you beforehand that this was going to happen? Of course, the cop-out from the New Agers is always, oh, the timeline shifted. That's their cop-out, right? That's how they can get away with saying anything. And if it doesn't come true, their excuse is the timeline shifted. It's the easiest cop-out, right? But we'll get to that when we debunk that video. Let's focus on the ritual sacrifice of Charlie Kirk, unveiling the Masonic script. This is from Hidden America, the Thrice Greatest. We're going to go ahead and dive right in, and we're going to debunk this stuff, guys. I think my picture, whatever, me, should be good on the right-hand side for now. I may need to switch it if there's something on the right-hand side that I want you guys to see, but we're just going to go ahead and get started. Let's dive right in, shall we?
After a 33-hour manhunt, the patsy in the public execution of Charlie Kirk has been apprehended. Now
Sorry, I'm so used to having to turn my head and blow it out because I'm on a TikTok, and this video is going to get released on YouTube and Patreon, so I'm allowed to smoke on those platforms, but TikTok I'm not, and I always have to go off screen or whatever. So sorry if you see me do that. It's just a habit. I make 10 times more content for TikTok than I do YouTube or Patreon, which I need to get better at. I acknowledge that, but I'm just used to being on TikTok, so apologies for that. But this is a major problem because we see images like this all across the conspiracy community. They take Masonic imagery, like this guy here at the top and this image over here, and they put it together with these other things that have nothing to do with anything. This image of the killer, the alleged killer, has nothing to do with Masonry, has nothing to do with this up here. This image of Charlie Kirk has nothing to do with Freemasonry. A 33-hour manhunt and morning show reveal how police caught Charlie Kirk's suspect. And somehow that is, because the number 33. So what? So what? Should it have taken 80,000 hours? Should it have taken 40 hours? Would that have been better? Would 32 hours have been better? No, it wouldn't have, because you still would have added the numbers up. You would have been like 40 hours. Well, 4 plus 0, and then it was done on September 10th, so 9 plus 1 plus, like you would have done all that nonsense to somehow still get to 33. No matter what they would have taken. And why would okay, so let's say that the number 33 was important, right, in Masonry. Let's say that it was actually important. Why would the emphasis be on the manhunt hours? Why couldn't he have been shot with a bullet that had 33 engraved on it? Or why couldn't he have been at the 33rd, longitude, latitude mark for the ley lines or whatever people talk about? Or why couldn't his age have been 33? Like, why if 33 is important, it goes to the manhunt hours? Like, and it's not like prevalent in any other area of this. It's only for the manhunt. Like, what makes the manhunt hours ritualistic? How long they took to catch the killer? What makes that part of the ritual versus any other happening within this assassination? Right? And I'm no Masonic expert. Right? I'm no Masonic expert. I'm not a Freemason, but I do have several books that I've read through and studied on Freemasonry. I've got a section right here, Masonic, and my Google Drive, as you can see right here, 80.48 gigs of 100. 80 gigs worth of books. There's maybe a couple of videos on here. And I'll say at max, let's say 10 gigs worth of videos that I still haven't deleted from back when I first got on YouTube 5-6 years ago. So let's put it at 70 gigs of books, not Masonry books, of general occult, esoteric, mystical books, but Masonry falls within that. And this folder is not even complete. A few years ago, I started to make those folders and started putting books in those folders, but I stopped because, as you can see, there's a crap ton of folders because I have a crap ton of books, and I wasn't able to get through even 10% of them. So the 24 books I have in here under Masonry is not a reflection of my total Masonic collection of PDFs and ebooks. But even if it was, this is a pretty good collection. This is a pretty good collection, right? And the two books that I want to point out, The Magical Mason, Forgotten Hermetic Writings of William Wynne Westcott, Physician and Magus, edited and introduced by R.A. Gilbert. Okay, this is a really good book. If you're interested in Freemasons that do practice magic, because Freemasons do not have to practice occultism. It is not a requirement. It is not taught in Freemasonry. There are Freemasons who do practice magic, but magic and Freemasonry are not connected. They don't go hand in hand or anything like that. Magic, occultism is not taught in Freemasonic lodges. And books like this will prove it. If you want to look at magic from a Masonic perspective, this is a really good book. Here's some of the table of contents here. But see, this type of book, Hidden America would never read. He wouldn't have to go spend money. This is a PDF. Sorry, I hit the desk. This is a PDF. He wouldn't have to go spend any money. Just take some time to read this stuff. Written by Masons, for Masons, and I guess non-Masons alike. But he's not going to come and read this stuff, right? He's not going to come and read this. He's not going to come and read stuff like The Sorcerer and His Apprentice. This is the other book I wanted to point out. These are my sources. When I talk about how I know Freemasons aren't magical inherently. They can practice magic, but they don't have to. It's not a requirement. Right? Unknown Hermetic Writings of S.L. McGregor Mathers and J.W. Brody Ines. Okay? Another one by R.A. Gilbert. Right? Hidden America is not going to read this stuff. Hidden America and other content creators in the conspiracy world are not going to read this stuff. Right? These books like this are my sources. Right? The Lost Keys of Freemasonry, or The Lost Keys of Masonry. Right? The Beginning of Masonry. Right? These are the books that I read. Right? The Craftsman and Freemason's Guide. These are the books that I read. These are the books that I peruse through. The Meaning of Masonry. Illustrations of Masonry. Masonry Revealed and Illustrated. Speculative Masonry. The Secret Plan of the Canberra. The Book of the Words. Right? The Philosophy of Freemasonry. Stellar Theology and Masonic Astronomy. These are the books that I read when it comes to understanding Freemasonry from their own perspective and an occult perspective. I'm no expert. I prefer to study occultism proper, but when necessary to debunk and combat people like Hidden America, I have to read this type of stuff. And you should too. And Hidden America, you should too. And any other conspiracy person who believes nonsense about Freemasons, read their books. Where does it say any of the stuff that you guys talk about? But anyway, let's get back. We're only 9 seconds into the video. We barely got in the video, and my video is already 14 minutes. So let's dive in.
Before we dive into the obvious Masonic 33 ritual marker in all occult rituals, the name, geography, and date are
what is that? 11 11 11. What? So this hat has 47, this hat has 47, and this hat has 47. So they're doing 4 plus 7 is 11. 11, 11, 11, and that equals 33. All right, so earlier I said, why is the manhunt important? And so it looks like there is more 33s in here. So of course they're going to run with that. I think 47 is because Trump is number 47, right? 45 and 47, I believe. So it has nothing to do with Masonry or Masonic anything. Again, read those books that I pulled up. You can pause the video at any time during the 3 or 4 minutes that I had my Google Drive up showing you the Masonic books I had. You can pause the video at any time and just freely Google 2, 3, 4 of those titles and download the PDFs for yourself and just start reading them. You don't even have to read the whole books. Just skip to the chapters that interest you the most. But you know that it's going to disprove you and debunk you, and you can't risk that.
Extremely important to the mechanics of the ritual, as you will soon see. The Charlie Kirk Masonic ritual was no different.
Reverse numerology. Hold on. In reverse numerology, the alphabet is flipped. A equals 26. Reverse numerology? Come on, guys. Come on. People just make things up. They just make things up.
Break it down, because there is a lot to get into.
Oh, because it's in the Illuminati card game, which I have a video of me playing Illuminati, the PC game. I have the PC game Illuminati, which is just a PC version of the card game. And I have a video of me playing that during a live stream. Check that out if you're interested. Because it says enough is enough in the Illuminati card game, Charlie Kirk was like, come on, bro. Come on. And Charlie Kirk said enough is enough. So we're not going to find any other YouTube videos titled Enough is Enough. Charlie Kirk was the only one, and therefore this card could only be referencing Charlie. Come on.
Charlie Kirk's full name is Charles James Kirk. First and foremost, let's focus on the first and last names. Charles Kirk. Charles comes from the Germanic Karl, which means free man. This is in contrast to bondsman, serf, or slave. Kirk comes from the Old Norse Kirkja, meaning church. So Charles Kirk literally means church of the free man, or assembly or house of the free man. That etymology is pretty loaded, archetypical, if you will, in ritual law.
So that's not how language works, right? Even if what he's saying is correct, right? The etymology of the last name Kirk, right? Let's see even if he is correct. What is the etymology of the name Kirk? It comes from Kirkja, meaning church. It is a loan word from the Koine Greek Kyrikion Doma, which translates to the Lord's house. It was adopted into Scottish, Northern English, and other Germanic languages where it exists as both a common noun and as a given and surnames. Okay, so he is correct about the origin of the word coming from Kirkja, right? But even if he is correct, language doesn't evolve in that way, right? So for example, in English, we use words that come from other languages and are loan words or whatever, but the original word that whatever word we're using comes from did not mean anywhere what we're using it for today, right? I'm trying to think of a good example, but the only examples I can think of are like slang, and I don't think that's a good example. But even if that was true, that's not how it works. Like it shows you down here, actually. It actually shows you, right? So the origin is Old English from Circe? Circe? I don't know I wouldn't know how to pronounce that. Circe or whatever, to Old Norse Kirkja, which in English becomes church, not Kirk. In English, it became church. So that's a perfect example because I couldn't think of an example. So thank goodness Oxford Dictionary says it right here. Oxford Languages gave it to us because I couldn't think of a good example. This is a perfect example. It goes from Kirkja or whatever that is, Kirky, I don't know how to say that in Old English, to Old Norse Kirkja, Kirkja, I don't know how to pronounce that either, to English church, Middle English kirk, where up here we learned it's used as both a common noun and names. Right? So for the Lord's house in English, we use church, not kirk. Language doesn't evolve in the way that these conspiracy theorists want you to believe. And I know it might be annoying, but this is why you have to pause it every 10 seconds and debunk every little thing that they say. Because if you let them get away with a little thing, that little thing will get bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger.
Logic, the name is chosen or highlighted for ritual resonance. These rituals are meticulously planned. Everything is done by the letter, done by the numbers.
What letter? What letter? That's what. Where are you getting this? Which of these books, or any, if I go home and just type in Masonic, I've got other folders up here full of Freemasonry that I haven't even pulled books out of. There's books in here that you haven't even seen in the other folder because, as I said, I haven't moved everything over. It takes time to sit here and find all the Masonic books and move them over to a Masonic folder. It takes time to go through all the witchcraft books and move them to the witchcraft folder. And God forbid it's a book that's on witchcraft and shamanism and Druidry. Well, which folder do I put it in, right? So, which of these? There's books in... You didn't see any of these in that folder. You didn't see Masonic Initiation in that folder. The Scottish Rite Stitching Argus in that folder. You didn't see that. You saw this one and this one. Maybe this one. I don't know. I don't remember that one. And you saw this one. There's plenty of Masonic books here. Just keeps going. Look, it's loading more. And now there's more. Ooh, what's this? The Secret Rituals of the OTO. Okay, that's the OTO. It keeps going. I've got plenty of books on Masonry. Which one? Tell me. Tell me, and I will go live and we will read through it together. Which of these books, or any Freemasonry book, maybe I don't have it. I have a few dozen, but I don't have every book on Masonry ever written. Tell me the title. What letter are you talking about? They do it by the letter. That means it's written down somewhere. Where? Tell me, and we'll study it. We'll go through it together, but you can't. You can't. Look, loading more. I have a shit ton of stuff on Masonry, guys. No, I haven't read all of these books. I'm not going to pretend I have read them all. No. But I've read quite a few of these. Here's another R.A. Gilbert book, The Rosicrucian Seer, The Magical Writings of Frederick Hockley. Now, this doesn't really have anything to do with Masonry, but these are the types of books that Hidden America is not going to read. They do it by the numbers. Look at this one. Symbolism of Freemasonry or Mystic Masonry and the Greater Mysteries of Antiquity. This is by someone who's the 32nd degree. Right? 1925 by the Reagan Publishing Corporation. This is an old book. The conspiracy theorists should love this stuff. Look at this. But they would never read it. Does this have a table of contents or no? Okay, here we go. They would never read this. The Principles of Education and Ethics, The Genius of Freemasonry, The Secret Doctrine, The Sign of the Master, The Great Lodge, The Outline of Symbolism. They're not going to read this. Because this would debunk everything that Hidden America is trying to say in his video. These are my sources. This is why I can confidently say the stuff that I'm saying, even though I'm not a Mason. I have Freemason friends. I have family that's Freemasons, which I'm sure most people have family and or friends or co-workers or whatever, someone that's, close to them in their lives that are Masons. But I am not, and I have no desire to become one. But I've studied them, like really studied them. because I have their works right. Like, you're looking at it right here, and yet you get stuff like this. Let's continue. We're already 25 minutes in my video and only a minute and 23 seconds into his video.
Charlie's name encodes an extremely important archetype in this day and age, the gathering place of those who are not enslaved. Historically, free men were those not bound to feudal lords, a symbol of sovereignty. A church of the free man suggests a sanctuary of independence, a counterforce to centralized power. This is extremely significant, symbolically. If a man with the name meaning Church of the Free Man is ritually slain in public, then so are the old ideas of sovereignty and liberty under God.
None of that made any sense. You literally said nothing but word salad. That is the equivalent of this right here. Do you guys remember this? The New Age bullshit generator, this right here. If it even still exists, it does. Perfect. So, namaste. Do you want to sell a New Age product and or service? Tired of coming up with meaningless copy for your starry-eyed customers? Want to join the ranks of best-selling self-help authors? We can help. Just click and the truth will manifest. So now, obviously, he's not saying the stuff that I'm about to show you. This is New Age. But what I'm saying is Hidden America is the conspiratorial equivalent. So in the conspiracy community, he's doing what this website would do for New Agers, which is this. So you press this button and it comes up with bullshit. Such as, conscious living is the driver of being. And this is on purpose. This website is not serious. It's literally called the New Age Bullshit Generator. This website is satire. They are not serious. They are making fun. I want people to understand that. This is a mockery of the New Age. Okay? This is what Hidden America is doing, but from a conspiratorial perspective. Conscious living is the driver of being. You and I are spiritual brothers and sisters of the universe. This life is nothing short of an unfolding quantum shift of interstellar coherence. The goal of ultra-sentient particles is to plant the seeds of karma rather than ego. We must bless ourselves and heal others. We must learn how to lead spiritual lives in the face of pain. Shiva will let us access enlightened flow. Right? Just bullshit. It's because the words make sense together. It's not banana truck upside down moon ran around 16 fours. Like it's not literal jumbled nonsense. But this is not spiritual. They're not saying anything spiritual. They're not saying anything metaphysical or esoteric. It's all just nonsense. Sure, the words go together, and so it's a coherent sentence, but spiritually this is nothing. This makes no sense. That is what is happening in this video. He's doing the conspiratorial equivalent of saying bullshit, nonsense.
And in its place, the Church of the Global Citizen, the technocratic Noahide order, emerges. The sacrifice of Charlie Kirk encodes the transition from sovereignty.
R.I.P. to Irina, the young lady who was who was stabbed by this demon, by this monster. R.I.P. to her. That was a senseless, unnecessary death. She should not have been taken from us. She tried to escape a war-torn country only to die at the hands of a mentally ill criminal who frankly should have never been free in the first place. But that's all I want to say there. This is not a political video.
To servitude under surveillance, but we are just getting started with the symbolism. Charles means free.
Yeah, see, that guy wasn't an activist. He himself was. Now, there are activists rallying around him, but he was not an activist. He was a mentally ill criminal. So, just because he looks like this guy doesn't mean anything. He was not an activist.
Man, in medieval guilds, only free men, not serfs.
But that's what they try to do. They try to equivocate. Like, oh, look, he looks like him, and it's in the Illuminati game, so therefore it's part of the plan. All this nonsense.
Serfs could join the craft or Freemasonry. That's why they were called Free Masons. So there is a definite connection between.
What does it say? Black Lives Matter. Okay. So she's into black, like, so So what? That's Freemasonry? Black Lives Matter? What?
Free man and Freemasons. A lodge could be seen as the Masonic version of a church. Masonry is often described as a church without Christ, a temple or lodge where rituals take place. In this aspect,
why was that a bad thing? The free man definition, that's a so Christianity wants men that are enslaved and in servitude, because isn't Christianity supposed to be doing the opposite of what Freemasonry does, teaching the opposite? So are you saying you want slaves and servitude and all that in Christianity? Is that what that's saying?
Charles Kirk could literally be interpreted as Freemasonic lodge, as Charles equals free man,
No.
which equals Freemason.
You're using etymology incorrectly. I call it false etymology. Every time I talk about conspiracy theories, every time I have to debunk a conspiracy theory video, I have to use the term false etymology. They always do it. They always use false etymology. You guys have no idea what the fuck you're talking about. You have zero idea. This is absolutely ridiculousness. And it's a shame that people believe you. It's a shame that people can't just take a few minutes out of their day and look at books like this, right? If you think that what he's saying is real, prove it. Not by showing me a picture of Tom Cruise doing this, or that doesn't mean anything. Or even if you want to use an image of Tom Cruise doing this, show me in any of these Masonic books where it says this is a 666 or means the devil, or covering the eye is some Masonic thing. Show me that. Show me that. Right? Earlier I pulled up a book, Symbols in Freemasonry or something. I'm trying to find it again. Here, let me just go back home. Or actually, recent. We'll do recent. There we go. Symbolism in Freemasonry. Which chapter am I going to find that in? Right? We went through the chapters. Is it going to be in the Principles of Ethics? Is it going to be in the Genius of Freemasonry? Is it going to be in the Secret Doctrine? The Sign of the Master? The Great Lodge? The Outline of the Symbolism? Which chapter? And we'll go to it. But they won't do that. They won't take a few minutes out of their day to just go, okay, even if I don't want to read this whole book, even if I don't want to read all 175 pages, why don't you just go to the table of contents and say, okay, I don't care about the Christian Rosicrucians. I don't care about data of the history of the Rosicrucians. I want to start with the Kabbalah. So, okay, start with page 81. Maybe read that chapter, 81 to 95. It's 14 pages. That's it. And then maybe you don't care about a further glance at Kabbalah, but maybe you want to read this chapter, The Religion of Freemasonry, illuminated by the Kabbalah. From page 110, or excuse me, from page 114 to 124, 10 pages. Pick 3-4 chapters that interest you the most and read them. But you know that even that will disprove your nonsensical theories.
And Kirk equals church, which equals lodge. So Free Masonic Lodge. Now, is that a little bit of a stretch? Maybe. But there's undoubtedly a hidden resonance.
Not maybe.
With
yes, that is a major stretch. Thank you for at least acknowledging that. Yes, that is a major stretch. Not maybe, not a little bit. You're doing false etymology. Literally. That's not, like, come on. That's not how words work. That's not how language evolves. That's not how language progresses, moves forward. It's not.
Charlie Kirk and Masonry. This becomes more evident as the manhunt lasted exactly 33 hours. 33 degrees is the highest visible degree in Scottish Rite Masonry.
So?
If you look where he was shot, it was surrounded.
Why does that matter? And why is it Freemasonry? Why don't you guys do why isn't the hierarchy of Luciferianism the most evil, or the ones that you guys come after, or Satanism? Oh, you're going to say, well, all those things come from Freemasonry, right? Okay. But you're not going to prove it by going to the source material itself, right? If I accuse Christians of believing something and I go, it's in their Bible, most rationally thinking people are going to say, okay, can you show me where in the Bible? If you're going to make an accusation about a certain group and you're saying that they believe this and it's in their writings, show it to me. Show it to me. Where in the Bible does it say whatever it is that I'm claiming? So why can't people do that when they're accusing the occult, when they're accusing witches and Satanists and voodoo saints and Freemasons, right? They never go to our material. They will blame Aleister Crowley for everything, but have not read any Crowley book. Or they'll quote things out of context. For example, you guys might remember, I believe the video is available on YouTube. There was a guy a few months ago, probably like 5-6 months ago. I believe it was this year or early 2025. I was live and I was doing debates, and a young man came up. I believe he was Christian, and he was talking about how Aleister Crowley is this evil guy, and he's so demonic and so satanic, and it's all in his books. Now, I'm not a fan of Crowley. I don't care for Crowley or Thelema or anything that Crowley put out. But I have a nice chunk of his writings. I don't have everything he's ever written, but I have a good majority of it. I have pretty much anything that a conspiracy theorist, because I know that they're not going to do any real research, right? So any Crowley book that the average conspiracy theorist creator, that makes content on conspiracy theorists, any Crowley book that they come across, guaranteed I have it. And I'm confident in saying that because I know that they're not going to go any deeper than the surface. Maybe level 2. That's it. They're not going to go any deeper than that. So if I have Crowley books that go down to, let's just say, level 4, and I'm just using levels as metaphor. If they stay around level 1, level 2, then chances are I have whatever they're looking for, right? So this kid came on, and he was like, Crowley's evil, satanic, blah, blah. It's in his book where he talks about the most suitable sacrifice is a male virgin child, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, okay, do you want to add any context to that, or you're just going to leave it right there? And he was like, that's it. It's right there. And I was like, yeah, it says more than that, but let's go ahead and just read it live, right? And luckily for me, I was live on my PC. So I was able to, I was on my phone, but I had my PC up, and I was able to take my phone, flip my camera, pull up the book, show everyone, look, we're reading Aleister Crowley's book, and we're going to scroll down to that section, and we're going to read the whole paragraph, not just that one little sentence. And when you read the whole paragraph, and you get it in context, you understand, because he says it in black and white, what he's talking about. And he's not talking about unaliving a male virgin child, right? The sacrifice is metaphorical, right? It's allegorical. It's not literal. And it literally says that in the very next sentence. But they take it out of context. So just like that example, that kid didn't read that one little quote. But when we read the book, it debunks, it disproves what these conspiracy theorists say. It's nonsense. Let's keep going.
By right angles. A Mason always stays on the square. More than that, Charlie sat directly in the middle of a pentagon, which acted as the ritualistic pentagram, sealing the...
Guys, show me a pentagon. Show me the pentagon in this image. There isn't one. This area down here which is where Charlie was. It's not a pentagon. This has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 sides. But this is not a pentagon. This is a pentagon. You got to complete it. Right? Let me show you pentagon. Okay, load anytime now. Or here, I'll just show you down here. This, because I don't know why it's taking forever to load. Like, this took forever to pop up like that. That's a pentagon. This thing looks more like a church steep, like a church. It has 5 sides, but this is not a pentagon. This is not a pentagon. Continuing.
Ritual sacrifice within the 5-pointed star. The most famous Masonic myth is the slaying of Hiram Abiff.
There is no 5-pointed star. This is insane. This is legitimate insanity.
The widow's son, the builder of Solomon's temple. Charlie Kirk, the free man slain in public, could be cast in that archetype, a ritual killing that preserves and renews the brotherhood. With the man named Church of the Freemasons dying in public, it could then be seen symbolically as a Masonic sacrifice in the open square. Hiram Abiff slain again by the 3 ruffians. This is sealed with a 33-hour marker. Charlie's death serves as a symbol.
Why would the 33-hour marker be a seal? I don't understand that. Why would it be a seal? And what does this have to do with anything? This statement here.
Symbolic act to both bury the old Masonic lodge and the Enlightenment ideals of liberty, reason, and sovereignty, to resurrect Masonry power in the age of dark enlightenment, aka the technocracy. Thus, his blood becomes the cornerstone of a new temple, the global, digital, Noahide law-based order. Or
what? You're just saying, like, bro, this guy's just saying things. Pentagons where there's no actual pentagons, pentagrams inside of a pentagon, whatever nonsense he just said here, some new order of the whatever. Bro, what?
The Masons being sacrificed by Israel for the Greater Zion Project. Was this a warning to the American Masons by B'nai B'rith that they are expendable? Now that the third temple is almost built, you are no longer needed. We all know that Masonry is a Jewish establishment. Masonry is literally Judaism for Gentiles. Another major tell is that the patsy lived.
You should probably read some of the books that I just put up there. There was a book that actually goes into that specifically, right? And I believe that chapter was titled something similar to like using the Kabbalah to illuminate Freemason religion, or how Freemason religion is illuminated by the Kabbalah, or something like that. You should probably read that. Freemasonry is not Jewish or Judaic religion for Gentiles. When it says illuminated by Kabbalah, which is Judaic, it means that there are elements in Kabbalah that can help explain or better explain some of the elements in Freemasonry. Not that Freemasonry comes from Kabbalah. When we were pulling up the R.A. Gilbert books and we were looking in the table of contents, it mentioned Rosicrucianism more than it did Kabbalah. So,
directly next to Zion National Park. This is no coincidence. Geography is incredibly important in these rituals. For the suspect to be linked to Zion ties the event directly to the idea of the Greater Israel Project, a global one-world governance under Zion.
So I don't deny that geography, or location I prefer, is important in occultism, because it is. If you remember back in the day from like 5 years ago, when I first started on TikTok, I had it's buried behind those behind the paintings and stuff I haven't hung up yet. Um, it's it's a little dry erase board that I had like 5 steps of doing magic or whatever. And location was, or not 5 steps, 5 requirements for like successful magic. And location was one of them, right? Location was one of the options. It was option 5, I believe. And it was stuff like, if you're doing necromancy, it makes sense to do it in a graveyard, right? The location matters. If you're, trying to, summon a genius Loki, it might be best to go into the location where that genius Loki habits, or inhabits, I guess I should say. I don't know why I said habits. Inhabits, and summon them there, right? So if it's a genius Loki of this particular area of a forest, you should probably go to that particular area of the forest, right? If you're doing curse work, doing things in an area where, violence has taken place. Or I know a lot of people like to do like urban exploring, and so going to like an abandoned prison or an abandoned insane asylum could be a great place to petition spirits for curse work, right? So location is important, sure, but I wonder why the University of Utah Valley, or Valley, Utah, or something like that, Valley University of Utah, something like that. What is magical or esoteric about that specific location? And if that area is like magical, why put that university there and maybe not the actual like Utah State, like not put the actual state university on that location? Why put like, and I don't mean this in a negative way, but like one of the lesser, and they might be a better school than Utah State or whatever. I don't know nothing about colleges and all that. I went, had a great time, but that's it. I don't know nothing about Utah State or any of those schools out there. But I don't, like, why wouldn't you put like the state's biggest school or something like that? If that is a magical location, why put that specific university there? Not a bigger, more prominent, more well-known one with bigger endowments, whatever, on that location. What makes that location where Charlie Kirk was holding this debate or whatever, this conversation with students, what makes that location magical or special? So,
Zion. Utah is a Mormon state, a Masonic hotspot. In Mormon tradition, Zion is also
is he going to answer it? Is he going to get to that question?
a literal city that must be built before Christ's return. The Patsy was 22 years old. 22 is the master builder number. The manhunt was 33 hours. These are all Masonic and Kabbalistic markers. 33 and 22 are both master numbers. Charlie was shot in the neck.
Are they the only master numbers? Are they the only? I mean, I don't know. I don't. I'm not going to pretend to be a Freemasonic expert. I've already said that numerous times. But I'm quite certain there are more than 2 master numbers. So why weren't all the master numbers used? Is there some kind of rule that states you don't need all the master numbers? If so, what rule is that, and where can I read more about it from the people who created the rule, the Freemasons? Not going to have any answers. Not going to have any response. But that's okay. That's okay. People can see through this. At least you guys can see through it. You guys are smart. The average Hidden America viewer, not so much. But we got about 10 minutes left, and we're already at 50 minutes in my video. You see, I told you this was going to be an hour, and it's definitely going to be more. We're probably looking at about hour 15. So,
the penal sign of the entered apprentice is a slicing motion across the neck. If you break the oath, the penalty is having my throat cut across, my tongue torn out by its root, and my body buried in the rough sands of the sea.
Now, perfect. I'm glad he said that, because the issue I'm going to have with this, and it's not that, oh, well, Charlie Kirk wasn't, and I'm sorry to be so morbid or whatever, but he wasn't sliced in the neck, he was shot in the neck. So it can't, that's not the argument I'm making. Even though that is true, that's not the argument I'm making. The argument I'm going to make is, okay, so this isn't the only video in the history of YouTube and the history of occult conspiracy or Masonic conspiracy content creators that, you know, this is the only video in the history of all that. There have been other videos that supposedly expose a celebrity or a well-known person, and most assuredly after they pass away, as someone who betrayed the oath and blah blah blah. Why wasn't, what, like, I've seen videos on Prince. Prince betrayed the oath. Why wasn't Prince done with anything in the neck? Why wasn't he anything sliced in the neck? He OD'd. There was nothing about the neck. Same with Michael Jackson. Nothing about the neck. Right? I don't, like, why, like, if that's the rule for breaking the oath, and Charlie Kirk wasn't the only person to have broken the oath, there's all these videos, all these conspiracy videos from conspiracy theorists about celebrities and presidents and kings and all that have passed, and that were either clearly assassinated, clearly taken out, or it looked like it was, you know, an accident or whatever, through like poisonings or heart attacks, whatever. Right? It's never the neck. This is the only neck thing that we have. All these other Masons broke the oath. No one else gets a neck thing except for Charlie Kirk. Make that make sense. Where are all the other neck slicings and injuries for these people who broke the oath? Everyone else just gets 2 to the back of the head, or, you know, they're just found unresponsive, had a heart attack, OD'd. Nothing wrong with the neck area. They weren't strangled, or they weren't, you know, hung like Epstein or whatever. There's no neck. And maybe that's the only other one, Epstein. Like, come on. Come on.
At low water mark, where the tide ebbs and flows twice in 24 hours, should I ever knowingly violate, this is my entered apprentice obligation.
Brigham Young was a Freemason. So what? Why? You said location is important. I agree, location is important. But just like I gave, 3, 4 examples of locations in magic that are important for a specific type of magic, can you explain why that location that Charlie Kirk was at was important from an esoteric perspective? Just like I did. If you're going to summon the dead, if you're going to summon if you're going to be doing necromancy, it makes sense to be in a graveyard. You don't have to be in a graveyard. You can certainly do necromancy at home or wherever, but it makes the most sense. You're going to get the most powerful results by doing it where the dead are, and that's either in a graveyard or somewhere where a lot of violence and death has occurred. So like that, like I just did with that, explain how the location that Charlie Kirk was unalived, well, I can say it, assassinated, taken out, why is that magical? Why does that serve an esoteric purpose?
To Charlie's middle name, James. This ties everything together. James comes from the Hebrew Yaakov, or Jacob, meaning...
Here comes a more false etymology. He's probably right, like he was with the Kirk thing. He's probably right about the origin of the word, but the usage and the evolution of the origin to where we are now with that word and how it changed throughout the different languages and all that other stuff, it's going to be nonsensical.
Supplement.
Like we already showed, right? Like when I pulled up I fact checked him on the Kirk thing. He was right about the origin of Kirk, but as I said, it doesn't evolve that way. And I couldn't think of any examples, but luckily Just had to scroll down a little bit. It gave us perfect examples, and it showed the evolution of how we went from Kirky, or whatever it was, to Kirkja, to church. And Kirk was just used as a name. We took the word Kurya or whatever, Kirkja, whatever. I don't speak Norse or whatever. Scandinavian, whatever, I don't know. And for English made it church. So now church and Kirk became two separate words. Two separate words. They have a common origin, but they're not used for the same thing. Right? Like casting a spell and going to spell a word, a spelling bee. Not the same thing at all. But let's continue. I want to try to make sure that this video is no more than 1 hour and 15 because I really want to do the Elizabeth April video next.
Or the one who replaced.
Not in this video. They will be two separate videos, but I have to leave in like 3.5 hours. And knowing me, who knows if I have enough time with all my commentary. So I'm trying to keep this under 1 hour and 15.
Jacob is the patriarch who wrestled with the God of Israel and was renamed Israel, which means he who struggles with God. So James encodes the idea of replacement, transformation, or most importantly, the rise of Israel. James literally means Israel, the supplementer of Israel. This is very important as Charlie was seen as a mega Zionist, but there was signs that he was beginning to turn on Israel. He stated that Epstein was clearly a Mossad agent. Most Zionists would try to deny that angle. He allegedly told people he was scared that Israel was going to kill him if he turned on them. The sacrifice occurred.
Even if that stuff is true, all of that is political and financial. None of that is spiritual, magical, occultic, Masonic.
Occurred in Moab. Biblically, Moab is the land descended
Moab.
from Lot's son, or the Moabites, who were the sometimes
the Moabites, not the Moabites. It's Moab and Moabites. But you don't do any real research, so why would you know how to pronounce something properly?
ally and often adversary of Israel. Moab's biblical story includes rulers trying to hide a prophet to curse Israel. That narrative casts Moab as a place where prophetic utterances and manipulations happen. This is a useful metaphor for an act intended to send a message to the world, not merely a private crime. The church...
No, it's not. So just because the Moabites were known for, according to him, I'm not going to pretend to be an expert at all in any way, shape, or form about the history of this area of the world or anything, especially 2,000 to 1,400 years before Christ. So yeah, but if we go with what he just said, right? They were doing prophetic utterances, right? That's prophecies, divinations, right? They were oracles and seers. How did they get this stuff to the world? There was no internet, printing press, no. So that means newspapers and news, there was no TV, there was no radio. This wasn't getting a message to the world. This was getting the message to the people in my village, the people in my little town, my little whatever, or the people in the kingdom. That's it. It wasn't get this message out to the world. It was get this message out to the people who we can directly touch. Just like any other culture. And if they wanted to get the message out to the world, they went and they did conquest. It wasn't just, let's just go preach the word of our gods. They conquested. So, what? This is why. I know it's annoying. I know it's annoying that I can take a 14-minute video and turn it into an hour, maybe even an hour and a half. If I didn't care about time limit, this could be an hour and a half. I know that that's annoying that every 15 seconds I'm pausing it and having commentary, but this is how you have to treat these people. Because if I let a little thing go and I let 5 minutes go by and I don't say anything, you're probably going to assume, well, then that everything that guy said in those 5 minutes, if Rebel didn't debunk it or say anything, it's probably true. So I'm going to believe that. No, you have to debunk these people line by line by line.
Church of the Free Man, aka Charlie Kirk, is slain to be replaced by the Temple of Zion. Now let's go back to where he was shot. If you look at where he was giving the speech from above, you will notice the architecture looks exactly like a giant menorah. Now,
so is it a pentagon or is it a menorah? I'm sure a lot of you earlier were like, come on, Rebel, that is a pentagon. You're kind of being a little wild there, blah, 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 blah. It's not a pentagon for real. It's not. Okay. But now it's a menorah. Even if it was a pentagon, now it's a menorah. Which one is it? Is it a menorah or is it a pentagon? Because that thing does not look like a pentagon at all. A menorah has 4 sides because it's a fucking oblong looking rectangle. It has 4 sides. Top, bottom, front, back. Or maybe you could say 6 sides because I guess if it's 3D, it's not drawn on paper. If it's drawn on paper, it has 4 sides. This one is probably 3D, so it probably has 4, so it's probably like 6. So it's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, so it has 6. So not a pentagon. This would have 6 sides. Now, if you draw it on paper, it's not 3D, it's 2D. Okay. But still, it's not a pentagon. It only has 4 sides. Come on, guys. This is why you have to pick every little thing out.
The tree of life is laid onto that menorah. Charlie would have been sitting exactly where Kether, or the crown, is located. Or in this case...
Brother, where are you getting that, man? This is insane. It's a pentagon, and there's a pentagram in the pentagon, but now it's not a pentagon. It's a menorah, and the Kabbalistic tree of life fits in that menorah. And Charlie Kirk was like, the gymnastics that are needed to make all this work is insane. The backbending gymnastics to make this work. When have you ever seen me do that when I'm explaining anything in the occult? Calling it one thing and then contradicting myself 5-10 minutes later, calling it something else. Come on.
Talmud, the false crown. The suspect's name is Tyler Robinson. This ties everything together. This is where it gets mind-blowing. In Masonic tradition, the Tyler is the officer who guards the door of the lodge with a drawn sword, ensuring that only initiated brethren enter.
Is that true? I don't know. I really don't know. So we're gonna really look this up. That is true. The Tyler is the lodge process server. Okay. All right. He is correct about that. That the title for the person who does that's name is Tyler, or title is Tyler. Sorry, getting a phone call. I don't know who that is, so we're gonna deny that. All right, sorry. That's about what I have to do at 3. So sorry, I had to take a look at that. But yeah, so he is correct about the title of the person who's at the door or whatever is called the Tyler. But that doesn't mean that this is connected, and the reason is because it's not this case every time. Again, this is not the only video in the history of YouTube that is about a Masonic sacrifice. So why in every other video is there no Tyler? There should be a Tyler in every Masonic sacrifice. There should be pentagons in every Masonic sacrifice. There should be those master numbers in every Masonic sacrifice. And if there doesn't have to be, again, there needs to be some sort of written rule that says, hey, it doesn't have to be that way. You can just mix and match and do whatever you, okay, maybe that is true. Where does it say that? If it doesn't say that, then I should be seeing these exact same signs in every Masonic sacrifice. But I don't. Why?
Keeps out Cohens and eavesdroppers, so the killer's first name encodes a Masonic guard / executioner role.
Why doesn't every other killer, every other assassin who did some sort of a Illuminati Masonic ritual sacrifice, why weren't all their names Tyler? Or why weren't all their names something Masonic? That's another thing. Okay, maybe not the Tyler. Maybe, oh, Rebel, you're going too far. Everyone has to be named Tyler if they're in a Masonic sacrifice. Okay, maybe not. But why isn't the other names have anything to do with Masonry? You all have to use gematria to add up the name, and it really, the names add up to 666, or it adds up to 333, and you do 3 plus 3 plus 3, or 3 plus 3 minus 3, and that's 6, and blah, blah, blah. Like, come on. Or 3 plus 3 is, plus 3 is 9, 9 upside down is 6, like, come on. Your beliefs about this stuff are not consistent, and that's the problem. The beliefs are not consistent. It's a pentagon when that shape serves you, but then it's a menorah when that shape serves you. Stop it. Get some help.
Is from St. George. St. George is known as the Dragon Slayer. Now, the last name Robinson literally means son of Robin, but in Masonic lore, there's a famous pseudonym, William R. Robinson, used in exposés of secret rite. It also echoes robbing son, one who takes life or inheritance. Thus, Tyler Robinson is the Masonic gatekeeper who robs or slays the son or fellow brother of the craft. And what was Tyler Robinson's middle name? James, aka Israel. As we discussed, the manhunt was exactly 33 hours. 33 is the highest visible degree in Scottish Rite Freemasonry. It also marks Christ's age at the crucifixion. A manhunt lasting exactly 33 hours decodes the event in Masonic numerology, framing the death as a ritual act sealed by the signature of the craft. The killing
I would believe something like that if Charlie Kirk was 33. Like, that might be more believable. Oh, they used that as a mockery or something, or the killer was 33 or something like that. Not it like that's what I mean when I say, why is the manhunt the important aspect? Like, why wasn't 33 used? And okay, at the beginning it did the 47, it did the three hats, 47, 47, 47, 11, 11, 11, that equals 33. Those are the least important aspects of like this ritual. Like, why would those be like, I don't get it. And they're not like, he's not saying like, oh, well, go read these Masonic books to fact check everything I'm saying. It's just, believe me. No evidence.
He mirrors the Hiram Abiff myth. Hiram, the master builder, remember,
I showed you guys evidence, right? I came in here and showed you guys evidence when I went and looked at these free Masonic texts, right? I showed you guys evidence. When I went up here and typed in Masonic and brought up dozens upon dozens upon dozens upon dozens of books on Freemasonry by Freemasons. I don't think any of these books that I have are written by scholars or people who just study and research. I am 100% confident that at least, I'm going to leave room for error. I'm going to say 99% of these books are written by Freemasons, whether they are alive or dead. If it's a Freemasonry book. So this book right here, Western Esotericism and Rituals of Initiation, this is not a Freemasonic book. It's a fantastic book. This is fantastic and you should read it, but this is not about Freemasonry. This book just has, I think it has Masonic initiation chapter or something. Let me see. Because Masonry is, right here, secret secrecy and Masonic initiatory societies, Masonic rituals of initiation, and 18th century Masonic terminology. So that's why it was mentioned, or that's why, because I simply typed in Masonic. So not 100% of these books being shown are going to be about Masonry. For example, Occult Theocracy is not a Freemasonry book. It might mention Freemasonry in it, but it's not a Masonry book. The Key of Solomon's Key, or the Key to Solomon's Key, is not technically a book on Freemasonry. There is a lot of Freemasonry in here, but it's not really a book on Freemasonry. It says Secrets of Magic and Masonry, but it's more magic in my opinion. If you take a look at the table of contents here, right? I mean, like, I think maybe chapter 1 and 6 and 7 are probably the only, and chapter 9 are the only ones about Masonry, right? But there's 13 chapters here, so I think it's mostly about magic. But then the meaning of Masonry is obviously about Freemasonry, right? So come on, these are all by Freemasons, not by scholars. So I know what I'm talking about. All right, let's get back to the video. We're almost done.
Tyler Robinson was 22. 22 is known as the Master Builder number. Hiram is the free man who was slain at the temple gates, while the Tylers guarded the temple door. The ritual sacrifice of Charlie James Kirk, the Church of the Free Man, supplemented by Israel, encodes the move from America's original Church of Liberty into the Temple of Zion beast system, guarded by Masonic authority. The ritual occurred on September 10th, on the eve of 9/11. 9/11/01 is the modern ritual cornerstone of the Zionist technocratic one world order. September 11th, or Tisha B'Av, is the Hebrew day of mourning, for both the first and second temple were allegedly destroyed in Jerusalem on that date. 9/11 itself was deliberately tied to this temple destruction archetype, the Twin Towers as twin.
They always do this. They always put up images of Freemasonic stuff and then stuff that has nothing, like, oh, the Twin Towers are the twin pillars. These are not the only towers in the world that are close to each other or even next to each other that are the same size. The Twin Towers in New York City are not the only two towers in the world that are. There are hotels that have sister towers, brother and sister towers, or maybe just two sister towers that are the same size. There are hotels that do that. Like, I don't understand why only the Twin Towers in New York City are the two pillars, but not, and I'm just using this as an example. I'm not saying that this specific hotel has this. I'm just using it as an example. But the Ritz in Dubai has two towers that are 80 floors. Again, that's just an example. I don't know for a fact, but I do know that there are luxury hotels that have towers. Brother and sister towers. Right? But the Ritz has two towers that have 80 floors each, and they're right next to each other, and they're the same level. That's not the two pillars. But in New York, it is. The two office buildings in Hong Kong that are 100 or 80 floors each, and they're right next to each other, might be owned by different companies or even the same company. That's not the two pillars, but in New York it is. Like, what? It makes no fucking sense.
Pillars. The ritual sacrifice on September 10th aligns the sacrifice of Charles Kirk, the Church of the Free Man, with the...
And this is not going to be an hour and 15. We're already at an hour and 13, and we still have 2-3 minutes left in this video. Unless I have zero commentary for the next 2 or 3 minutes, we're not going to make an hour and 15 minutes.
Destruction
it's
of the temple,
like an hour
the old temple, freedom, America, sovereignty, is destroyed, so the new temple, Zion, technocratic rule, can rise. Lastly, September 7th was a total lunar eclipse. September 10th, the day of the sacrifice, was the exact midpoint of the September eclipse season. In astrology, in the ancient mystery traditions, an eclipse season is a liminal portal. Solar eclipses are associated with kingship, outer order, the father, while lunar eclipse...
Where does it say this in occult and astrological writings? right? Because we can take a look at that too. I don't have a lot of astrology books, but come on, load it up. I don't know why the internet is so lame today. Like, bro, come on. Like, any day now. Let me just go back here really quick. Astrology. Jesus Christ. I don't know why it took forever. So we've got The Only Way to Learn Astrology. There's a little bit of astrology in human design, but we can skip that. We've got Eastern Astrology right here. Introduction to Eastern Astrology. The Only Way to Learn Astrology. What is this? Medical Astrology. What's this? I don't know what this is. Oh, this is just an index of horoscopes. We've got Ancient Astrology. Like, come on. We've got an Astrological Guide to Self-Awareness, 187 pages. Like, these are all full books. Signs of the Zodiac, 294 pages. Like, come on. Natal Astrology, 310 pages. So please tell us, like, which of these astrological books that I own should we look in, right? We just finished the Apicatrix, thank God. We finished reading that. That book was so fucking long and dry, and oh my God. But anyway, which, right? Where does it, like, in our writings, where does it say that stuff?
Eclipses, aka blood moons, are associated with sacrifice, bloodlines, the mother, and the other side. The midpoint between eclipses.
See, like, he'll put half truths, right? That's why I said, like, show me in the books, because some of the stuff is valid. Some of those things that he said those moon phases do, but bloodlines, the mother, like, come on, man.
This is considered the eye of the serpent, the place of balance, where shadow and light are in tension. In Babylonian and Mesoamerican rites, the midpoint of eclipse season was when sacrifices were timed to align with cosmic order. September 7th was...
Do you have any evidence of that? I don't remember reading that in the books that I've studied when it comes to Mesopotamian religion and magic, such as Rod and Ring by Samuel David.
The blood moon. This marked the opening of the ritual gate. September 10th was the exact midpoint of the eclipse season. This was the day Charlie Kirk was killed. Symbolically, this is when the cosmic scales are balanced, halfway between the moon's shadow and the sun's shadow. Killing the Freeman's Church encodes a balancing sacrifice, sealing one order and opening another. The old world for the new technocratic Noahide law world order. September 11th, or Tisha B'Av, is the anniversary of the destruction of Jachin and Boaz, the temple pillars. September 11th sealed the ritual.
No other two towers in the world can be that. Only the towers in New York. Those are the only ones that are Masonic. None of the billions of dollars that built any of these other towers or tall buildings that might be the same size as other close nearby proximity buildings, none of those are Joachim and Boaz. Just the towers in New York for whatever reason.
Tying it to the ancient temple desecration archetype. The 7th was a blood moon. It was
the tower in tarot has nothing to do with any of this. This is just random nonsense.
The mother's shadow, the call for blood. September 10th was the Moab sacrifice from the father. The Freeman's Church is slain in the balance. September 11th is the memory of the Twin Towers. The pillars fall and a new temple order rises. It's like a 3-act ritual drama encoded in the skies and in blood. The timing was deliberate to the day. They didn't just kill him during eclipse season, they chose the exact hinge point, when heaven's scales are in perfect tension. This was the turning point. After Charlie's death, Donald Trump called him legendary. Donald Trump was also born under a blood moon on June 14th, 1946. Both men.
And he was the only person born on June 14th, 1940, or whatever he was born. I forgot what he just said. But whatever Trump's birthday is, date, time, date and year, month, day, year. No one else was born that day, only Trump. There's no regular people that were born on that day, that were born under a blood moon. Like, stop it. Like, if that's true for Trump, it should be true for every single person in the world born on that day. But it's not.
Are closely associated with the Greater Zion Project. So, you tell me, was it a ritual?
No.
You can be the judge.
I'm judging it right now. I literally just debunked everything you said. Literally took an hour and it's literally an hour and 20 minutes and 13 seconds right now. No, this is not a ritual. This is bullshit. This is absolute asininity. This makes no sense. Shut the fuck up. What are you talking about? This is nonsensical. Go away. That's how I really feel. But all right, in the interest of not taking up any more of this video and your time, I'm gonna end it here, and we're gonna get ready for the debunking of Elizabeth April's video, which is 17 minutes. So that'll probably be an hour and a half long, and I have 3 hours. It's 12:05 right now. I don't have to leave until 3, so hopefully I can get that video done and out, or well, not out, but at least done before that time. So thank you for checking this out, guys. Be sure to share this with your friends. Share it on your social media pages. If you're already not subscribed, please do subscribe. Check me out on, depending on where you're watching this, you might already be watching this on the platforms I'm about to name, but check me out on my other platforms. I'm on YouTube, youtube.com/TheMysticalRebel. I'm on TikTok, which is where the bulk of my content lives, at least in short form, tiktok.com/TheMysticalRebel. I'm on Patreon, patreon.com/TheMysticalRebel, and you can check out my website, TheMysticalRebel.com. Thank you all. I appreciate each and every one of you. I will catch you guys in the next one, which is the Elizabeth April debunking of her remote viewing Charlie Kirk. And as always, seek the mysteries. Peace.